we need to look at ways for managing different versions of our APIs. So there are different ways of doing that. You could create a new application and you can have a different URL for version 2 of the API. That is one way of doing that, but that is not very convenient for the consumers. So another way of doing that is you maintain the version in the URI itself. So you use the same application, but the same application, but the path will have the version number in it. So the consumer can decide which version they want to use, and based accordingly, they'll use a different path of the API. So if you want to do that with this application, one of the ways to do that is one of the things that you could do is, so here's my application. So what I would do is branch branch v1. So I've created a branch v1 and the current changes are in that branch. Now I'll work on the master branch and I'll make changes for the version 2 of the APIs. So the way we can do that is we can go to Eclipse, and we want to manage both the versions of the API in the same application. So what we'll do is we'll modify the JAX-RS API because the API definitions are being auto-generated. So the moment we modify the application, the API definition will also get auto-generated. So what I'll do is I'll go and create a copy of the JAX-RS package and the model package. And I'll call it v2. Sorry. And here I can add the task resource for v2 as well. So I don't need a separate class for v2. I'll remove this. Now the change that we need to make in our task model, so we need to add a new property, private we don't need these other attributes. We will extend from base class. And we'll generate the getters and setters. Okay, and with this one we'll again extend it. Instead of task, we'll extend it from task v2. Okay, this is good. Task resource, we need to make sure we are using the task v2 APIs, the v2 model. So we'll change this. Okay, and now the path. So instead of slash tasks, we'll have slash tasks slash people. Once this is done, we can again test our application locally. So in order to do that, we need to do a build package. Since we are using the server definition, we need to update the WAR file in a particular folder. So I use this, I just do a build and then the WAR file gets updated here, and then I can just restart my server. Now if I go to, once the server is restarted, if I go to API docs, I should see the version 2 of the API as well. So we have v2 of v2 here, but the but the model has not. I mean, we don't see the both the versions of the model. So as you can see here, you just see one task in the definition section. So let's separate that as well. So what we'll do is we'll go to task and we'll add a annotation here. Here model value into task. So we have updated the value, the new name, and then let's also set the parent task class. So we have task with ID and task. Okay, and now let's go and do the build again. And I'll restart the server. If you just deploy the application directly to the server, you don't need to restart the server. It updates the changes automatically. But in this case, since we're using the server configuration, I found that I need to restart the server all the time. Okay, and let me check the API documentation now. And we can see both the task definitions now. So we have task v2 and we have task. So task has only 3 properties, whereas v2 has both the properties. And we have both set of APIs as well. So we have slash v2 and it refers to task v2. Now we can also test these APIs locally. So we can go to API Explorer. So if we go to, so we have slash v2 for tasks, and we have the one without the version. So I can go and create a task here. So I can see the new field. And I can do a retrieve of tasks. So I can see that this is created, and for V1, since I've not added any task, I did not get anything in the response. And in a real world application, it depends on how you configure your backend. Currently, it is storing everything in memory. So, and these two are different classes. The classes that we're using for V1 and V2 are different. So that is why, if since I've not added any task into V2, into V1, I don't see any tasks here. Uh, I don't see any tasks in the response here. Whereas since I've added a task in the V2 API, I do get that in the response. So next thing we need to do is we need to publish these changes into bluemix. So let's check it at that. V2. So once we have checked in our changes, the delivery pipeline should kick off, and you can go here. The build is already kicked off, and once the build is complete, we will have a deployment, and again we'll be able to go and view the API documentation here. We'll be able to view the API documentation like with the same URL, and then you would go and again import the new API definition. Deployment is complete, and now we want to update the API definition with our new API. So if we try to go and access this URI, it still says not found. That is because we are managing the APIs. We have secured the APIs through API management. Now if I go and disable this, I'll be able to access that API. But what that means is it will remove all the existing keys as well. So all the current consumers of the API would be affected. So another way to do this is to if you go to API docs, you'll get this URL. You can save this. So we have the API definition available locally. What we'll do is we'll open this in browser in Firefox, and I'll save this definition again. API docs v2.json. Now we can go back to the application and import that API. We want to still call that tasks and contacts API. So the API was updated successfully. You can go to API Explorer with /v2 and without the version. Your API key is still there. So now let's go and test the version 2 of the APIs. So I'll again go to Postman. Now since I've redeployed the application and all we are doing is storing everything in memory, this should not return anything in response. Okay, so our API keys are still working, the old keys are still working. Let me now try adding something. Let me now try adding a new task. So we have the headers in place, we have the body, and now I'll post that. And this task got created. Now I can do a get, and this is the task that got created for API v1. And now let's try the API v2. So I just need to change URL. There's nothing in here. Let me do a post slash v2. And now here I can go and change and add the owner field as well. Now this time this got created, and I can use the get task, and there you go. And we have used the same application for managing both the APIs. If you want to share this to users outside the bluemix organization, you can create an API key and create an API portal, and then uh, the consumers can access the API portal and use access the APIs.